In stanza 1, Spender introduced to us the children inside the classroom. Now he attempts to familiarize us with the ambience of the classroom. Let's take a look at the classroom where the children study. I want you to notice the punctuation marks in the course of the stanza. I'll refer to commas as pause and full stop as stops up to some point. Now let me read it. Listen to it carefully. On sour cream walls, pause, donations, stop. Shakespeare's head, pause. Cloudless at dawn, pause. Civilized dome riding all cities, stop. Belled, pause. Flowery, pause. Tyrolese valley, stop. Open-handed map, awarding the world its world, stop. Let me continue reading without the words stop and pause. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their future is painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Now, let's analyze. Just like the previous stanza, this one too is charged with meaning and poetic devices. The visitor had halted to observe the donations on the wall. What kind of wall was it? It was a dull, old-looking wall resembling stale yellowish cream, suggesting that it had not been painted for a long time. Next, he had started observing the displayed charts, which were donations, of course. Let's analyze the word group. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities. I want you to notice two words particularly. One, cloudless at dawn, and the dome. Cloudless at dawn is a vivid description of the plain morning sky, and dome refers to two things again. It refers to a rounded, vaulted roof or structure with a circular base, and it also refers to the top of the head, according to the definitions from Oxford Languages Dictionary. Well, have you seen Shakespeare's head in portraits? How does he look like? He appears to be bald at the frontal region, right? Let us read the word group again. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities. The comparison the poet had made here is a subtle one. Shakespeare's hairless head to cloudless dawn, plain, smooth, and clear, which appears like a well-rounded dome. Well, how is it civilized then? Domes are the structures made post-civilization. Civilization is an advanced stage of social cultural development. Reading Shakespeare or enjoying his plays is a mark of social cultural sophistication. In that sense, reading Shakespeare or understanding his plays are done only by the educated, the elite, and the sophisticated folks of the society. So, Shakespeare's head, which is bald and smooth like a cloudless dawn and dome-like, is being discussed in civilized societies of the cities all over the world. A civilized dome is an extended metaphor and a metonymy for Shakespeare's works born out of his intellectual capacity. Let's analyze the next word group. Belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley. Here again, I want you to focus on two words particularly. One, belt, two, Tyrolese. Have you seen mountain ranges and valleys? The valleys expand out of mountains like the base of a bell, right? This word group, belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley, refers to one of the beautiful flower-covered valleys of the Tyrol region of Austria, which is known for its beautiful valleys all around. The entire region is located in Alps mountains and it is considered a heaven on earth. So, the second picture on the wall was of one of the beautiful, broad, like a bell's base, flower-covered, scenic snapshot of a valley in Tyrol. Let's analyze the third word group, open-handed map. Open-handed is a compound adjective referring to generosity or benevolence. An open-handed act means an act of contributing or giving away freely and generously. A charitable one rather. In fact, this map is a generous donation given by someone with a charitable and a noble intention for the children to learn. This map aims to introduce the tiny confined world of the slum to a much larger, unseen and unnavigable land. Awarding world its world is a precise phrase as to how the outer world is codifying the meaning of the world to children who know nothing beyond the boundaries of their slum. At this point, let's consider the usefulness of these donations to these children. Who do you think would have donated these to the school? A charitable group of people of the city, the so-called cultural capital, right? We all know the paradoxical distance between the slum and cities in this term. Both are far, far away in every sense, aren't they? Would you agree if I say the scale of city life is different from that of the slums? What is garbage to us is a source of income and wonder for those who live in slums. Our hand-me-downs are often their best clothes, our leftovers or their feast sometimes. So what do you think would the Shakespeare's greatness mean to them? It may not make any sense rather. It is beyond their ken. The depiction of wider world has nothing to do with the immediate feel of their slum. So, for the children in the slum, the environment as they see through their windows every day is their world. The city wouldn't accept them as a part of it any time. They will be branded for life as slum dwellers and made to live there forever. In that sense, their future is bleak or as unclear as the foggy environment. They would never know what lied ahead. Their narrow streets and their constricted living conditions would only seal them to the same slum. Their life is beyond the reach of beauty, civility, sophistication of city life. The three donations stand for. Let's discuss the literary devices of this stanza. The first device we see prevalently is the transferred epithet. Transferred epithet is transferring the quality of one thing to another. The quality of the sour cream is yellowishness and staleness. These two qualities of the stale cream are used for describing the yellow walls not painted for a long time. The second on the list is the open-handed map. The compound word open-handed means being generous. The map isn't generous, but certainly the act of donating is. So, the generosity of the act is transferred to the map itself. Next poetic device in discussion is metaphor. Metaphor, as you all know, is an implicit comparison. Let's take the word cloudless dawn. As I told you already, it's an implicit comparison to the smooth, hairless head of Shakespeare. Civilized dome too is a metaphor which refers to his genius head that had portrayed the whole world of ideas in his place. Shakespeare's genius is discussed widely in the elite circles of the world, is what is being referred as cloudless dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities. Awarding world its world is yet another thought-provoking metaphor. The whole world of donors promise the children of the slum a different reality other than theirs. It's an implication for two worlds existing, one contrasting the other, side by side. It's a juxtaposition of two different realities, one of the slums and another of the cities. Narrow street is another implication for their constricted lives. The lead sky stands for their scopeless future that's too distant and unforeseeable. These two are very powerful metaphors bringing forth the terrible living and beyond of the slum dwellers. Three other startling metaphors, rivers, capes, and stars of worth, make us introspect as to what would these donations mean to these children. Rivers stand for civilization, capes, voyages and exploring new lands, while stars of worth stand for literary works of the mastermind. All these three evolutionary aspects of human living are too far-fetching for the children who are beneficiaries of the so-called kindness. So, merely donating such things would do nothing for the children. Next figure of speech is paradox. It's a state that refers to a statement or an instance that is logical but self-contradictory. Here, the cities and slums being near yet so far is being reiterated through the words far, far. This aspect has already been discussed several times throughout the explanatory part of this stanza. Also, education, which is capable of providing civility, happiness, and sophistication, would provide nothing due to the city's attitude, who is both provider and the destroyer. Provider, as they are the donors of these educational aids to these children, destroyers, as they are the ones to set greater standards of living which is unreachable for them. Here is the glossary of difficult words from this stanza. Here is a quick recap of this stanza for you. The visitor was said to observe the ambience of the classroom. The walls were not painted for long, a proof that slum schools were the least cared for then, and they still are least cared for. He could find a number of donations such as Shakespeare's head, picture of Tyrolese Valley covered with flowers, and a map generously donated by someone. Those donations wouldn't be of any use to any of these children because the slum was their world and not what the donations project as the world. Those things displayed on the wall had no direct connections whatsoever to their life. Their lives were sealed inside the uncertainties of the slum. The slums had never posed any prospects for these children. Their narrow streets and the world inside the slum had nothing to do with the beauty, civility, facility, or literary sophistication of the so-called outer world. Their world would start and end in the very same place, and the prospects in their world were very bleak. In the following stanza, we would continue with our discussion as to why these donations were considered more harmful than good by the poet.